You can understand?
Yes, your pronunciation is quite good actually.
Okay.
In UPI, we stay in Bandung, so Bandung is Sundanese region. So sometimes we use bahasa Sunda, like I already tell you before. Like when I said you're welcome, I said sami
Sami
sami.
sami. Like sama sama, sami sami.
Sami sami. That different. Different meaning.
Tapi bahasa Bandung mungkin difficult.
Oh, really?
Maybe, mungkin, maybe.
No, actually, it's quite when you can use bahasa Sunda when you go to
Oh,
Bandung.
bahasa Sunda.
Yes,
Yeah.
bahasa Sunda. When we go to Bandung, people tend to become more friendly with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is a good secret.
Yes. And they will say that, oh, Pak John, it's very kasep. You know
Kasep?
kasep? Yeah, kasep, it's handsome.
Oh, kasep. Ah.
Beautiful, pretty, it's gelis.
Again?
Gelis.
Gelis. Ah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. So good. That very important words.
Yes, Pak John is kasep. Well, I can call myself gelis.
Yeah. And I think the other word applies for Ibu, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And in Sunda, when we call a woman that older than you, we can call her teteh. Teteh, teteh, it's called sister, like a sister.
Kata.
Yeah, teteh. Not teteh. Different. Teteh using age. Teteh.
Kata. Yeah.
Okay. It's a big word. It's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Pak already here, Pak Purnomo.
Yeah. Some background noise anyway. So I see Pak Joni.
Pak Joni, not yet.
Not yet. Belum.
Yes, yeah. Pak Joni has another meeting, so Pak Ipung, as one of the lecturer, he will.
Pak Ipung.
Yes,
Pak Ipung.
Purnomo. Yes, Purnomo. He will.
Purnomo Ipung.
You can call me Ipung.
Ipung. It's a sami sama.
Sami.
Purnomo.
Yeah, sama. Pak Ipung is kasep. Okay, it's already 73 between us, so it's already 70 students already joined a class.
Okay. So,
okay, we give more time until 10:30. So okay, we're still waiting for the class. Pak John.
So banyak, many people.
Yes, it's two class, A and B. So we join the two class together in here in one time. So because it's hard for you if you have to join for the two class in a week.
And everybody from their home, I can see many different kind of homes with the background. Sometimes with the wardrobe, sometimes with the painting in the background, sometimes with the striping wall. Many different backgrounds.
Okay, student, can you open all of your camera so Pak John will see you? He can see you, all of you. Please put your hijab. Don't forget. Sometimes when student is off cam, they not use it.
Yeah. Sometimes saya lupa. Also.
Okay, Putri Naila.
Wow, many people.
Yes, yang lain coba jangan lupa kameranya di on kan semuanya. Hari ini kita akan berkenalan dengan Pak John, sehingga Pak John ingin melihat bagaimana mahasiswa dari Penmas sebelum semester ini kita akan mulai kuliah bersama-sama dengan beliau. For all of students, I hope that you can open your camera on the video so all of us can see you your handsome and your beautiful face, your kasep and gelis, neng kasep dan akang, neng kasep, neng gelis dan akang kasep.
Banyak gelis.
Yes, banyak gelis, yes.
Banyak yang
Ada berapa mahasiswa perempuan di sini kalau kelas A? Ada berapa yang perempuannya? Yang laki-laki deh.
perempuan.
Laki-laki.
Yang jelas
37.
sedikit, Bu.
Laki-lakinya.
Perempuan kelas A ada berapa orang?
36, Bu.
36, 36 in class A for the girls, and then B.
Andre Rama. Anak.
34. So it's 70 student is a girl and 10 it's a boy.
Ah,
So most of the student in this class is.
very similar in Australia.
Oh really?
Yeah, for sure. A similar situation. We need to change this. We need to attract more males to education. I think it's important.
Mhm. Actually, in UP, most of the student in our department is a female. So more than 50%, more than 50% of our student is female.
Mhm.
Oke, udah jam 7 lebih, jam 1 lebih 11. Pak Ipung mau dimulai aja?
Mulai saja, Bu.
Ya, silakan. Ibu mah di balik layar semuanya. Ibu minta on cam ya, biar. Silakan. Oke, ini yang suaranya rame dari mana ya?
So, Ibu Yanti, will you record session?
Yes, for the first meeting, I will accompany this class.
Will you record? Will you record the session?
Yes, we have recorded. Teh Ade, ini teh di-record nggak, direkam? Jadi proses broadcastingnya gimana? Oh, it's already recording.
Okay.
Oke. Pak Ipung, silakan.
Okay, good afternoon and best wish to us all with thank God because of all this blessing we can gather at this online class. On this moment, I would like to say welcome to Mr. John, the lecturer from Darwin University, Australia, will deliver material or topic for this class. The plan, Mr. John, maybe will deliver material in 3 sessions, start in 1 o'clock and finish in 3:30. And welcome Miss Yanti as International Relation, and welcome, and Mr. Joni, cannot join because have a meeting now. Now stay in online class, Miss Yanti and me maybe to take advantage of the quality time. Maybe let's start this agenda by reciting basmalah together and Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And please, Mr. John, please time is yours for orientation or give the material, the presentation of ICT. Okay.
Okay. Terima kasih Pak Ipung dan Ibu Yanti. And selamat siang semuanya. Saya harap semuanya sehat. Okay. Tapi saya bahasa Indonesia not so good. I'm still learning. I want to learn more Bahasa Indonesia, so today I'm going to just speak in English. Okay. I hope you can understand my English. Okay. So firstly, I would also like to thank Ibu Yanti and Pak Joni and Pak Ipung for inviting me to provide some sessions with you to participate in your class. I always enjoy engaging with students when we're talking about information and communications technologies. I've been very interested in this field for maybe 30 years. I used to be a music teacher some time ago in my early career. I very much enjoyed playing music and working with young children and teaching them how to get going with music. And then one day, a friend of mine showed me that you could connect a computer to a musical instrument and amazing things could happen. This was a long time ago, back in the mid-1980s. And then I decided I should go back to university and study some more. So I did some study about computers and it changed my life. And ever since then, I have been working in the field of computers in education and working in government, some government agencies for many years, and also universities and colleges. So I have a broad perspective that I would like to share with you today, and I have some slides that I will talk to. I'm very happy for you to interrupt, put up your hand or ask a question. Maybe you prefer to ask questions at the end. Maybe Ibu Yanti, you could help to collect some questions or something. So I will share my screen in a moment, and I have some PowerPoint slides, and after the session I will also send these slides to Ibu Yanti, and you can access these slides yourself to download if you wish. Okay, I'm happy about that. So let me just share my screen. Oh, I need to get the host to let me to share my screen. There is always.
Yes. I will ask the tadi bisa ini share screen-nya belum, Pak John-nya masih belum share screen. Okay, you can. Can
I
you
try again. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I can do it. Okay, this one. Okay, so maybe you can see. Can you see this one? No problem?
It's clear. It's clear.
It's clear? Okay. So then first of all, let me just give everybody an idea where I am. Maybe everybody already knows. Sudah. Where Darwin is actually in Australia. We're very close to Bandung. I just have to, when the flights resume after COVID, I just have to fly to Bali and get a flight for maybe 45 minutes, and I'm in Bandung. It's very close. Maybe 3 hours altogether. It's not so far. So I can come to Darwin, and after COVID, maybe some of you might like to visit Darwin. It's a very interesting place. I like living here. I've been living here for 8 years. Okay, so a little bit about me. These are my contact details. If anybody has any particular questions, especially about any research, I'm happy to be in contact. And these are my research interests, which there's a big long list here. I have a longer list as well. There's lots of things that interest me when it comes to study. I actually like thinking about big ideas and the big challenges that humanity has, and many things I like to think about. But these are the topics that get my interest as an academic at Charles Darwin University. Very much all about inquiry, okay? inquiry learning is what interests me most. And that's partly because information and communications technologies really facilitate an inquiry approach to learning. So today I want to just talk about various topics, a little bit about terminology and historical perspective, a little bit about futures and 21st century learning. So today really is just an introduction to, for me to just present some ideas, some of my thoughts about information and communications technology, so that you have some kind of big context for how you might go deeper into this subject during your course in community education. So, information and communications technologies, there are three big letters here, ICT. And a lot of the time, it would seem that most people think that it's all about the T, the technology. But in fact, ICT is also about information and communications. The internet itself is really, first and foremost, a communications technology. And so this is really important to think about. It's not just all these kinds of devices. Whenever we think about ICT, most people think about Wi-Fi or smartphones or desktop computers or iPads, all these kinds of new technology devices. The thing is, ICT has a long history. If we think about those words, information and communications technology. A few years ago, I read this book by James Gleick called The Information, and it's a very interesting book all about the history of how human beings and human societies for many thousands of years have been communicating, and some of the first examples of how human beings have solved the problem of communicating at a distance. And so some of you must be familiar about talking drums and smoke signals and Morse code and telegraph. These are all examples in many respects of information and communications technology. So the reason I'm suggesting this to you to think about is because I think that historical perspective is a very important thing for any kind of educator to build. It's always useful to draw on your own personal experience as an educator. But if we're looking at a topic like ICT, or any topic for that matter, it's important to have some kind of historical context of how things have changed. And with ICT has changed very, very much over the years. And of course, we all know that with digital technology, it almost changes every day. It changes very, very quickly. And so there are always new innovations, things for us to learn about. With Morse code, you can see here also the beginnings, in a way, of the first kind of binary system prior to digital technology working on the internet. So the point here being that all the time we build on previous knowledge, previous technology. We're always building upon, innovating upon knowledge that we already have. I've got a couple of YouTubes here. I'm not going to play them now, but when you download these slides, you will be able to play these. But there's a very interesting short video here by James Gleick, the author of that book, and also another very interesting YouTube about the history of technology in the computer age. These are useful resources for you as an educator to think about and to also perhaps think about how you might go about building your own timeline or understanding of how technology has evolved. Everybody okay? Understanding okay? No problem? Okay, so some years ago, I decided to create my own timeline so that I could track all the big moments in ICT in the ongoing digital revolution. So when I mentioned before, I used to be a music teacher back in the 1980s, and then when I went back to university in the early 1990s, I encountered this digital revolution for the first time, and my first experience of this digital revolution was CDs had just been invented, and this idea of hypertext and multimedia was very prominent in education. So CDs were being used, and prior to DVDs were being used in education as the first big revolutionary step away from just using textbooks. This notion of hypertext, things that we could click on to go to different parts of content. And this all was happening before the World Wide Web. This particular slide I can talk about for a long, long time. I won't talk about it in detail today. Just that I've documented all these particular moments in my own memory. I've put these here because I remember them as being very significant changes. Each time each one of these things happened, it seemed to be a game changer in education and a game changer in digital technology to support education. And of course, we can see at the end of this, at the moment here, we're confronting the impact of COVID and what that has done for many people, many communities all around the world. Is it's forced us in many ways to embrace emergency remote teaching and learning, using technology, connecting both teachers and students at home so that we can continue our education. Okay, so then just to shift gear for a minute, I'd also like to talk about 21st century skills, and this term 21st century skills has been used for quite at least 20 years now. We first started to talk about 21st century skills in the last millennium. At the end of the 20th century, everybody was thinking about the future and the coming 21st century and what do we need to do to be ready for the 21st century. And so this idea of 21st century skills was developed as important in education, and it has been important in shaping education all around the world. And there are lots of different ways in which 21st century skills are presented. If you do a Google search and on images, just images, you will see many different kinds of graphics, many different kinds of representations or pictures that describe this idea of 21st century skills. This particular graphic is one that I particularly like, and it was developed by the World Economic Forum a few years ago, and it separates this idea of foundational literacies and competencies and character qualities. In the middle here, we see this idea of competencies and what are often called the 4 C's. In education, we not only do we try to teach our students important content, we're also trying to develop their skills and their competencies, and these 4 C's are fundamental to the 21st century approaches to learning, where student-centered learning is very important. We need to be critical thinkers. We're living in a world where there's so much misinformation. We need to be careful about the information we find on the internet. More and more, it's important for us to learn about being creative in the workplace. We all need to be good communicators, and we all need to learn how to collaborate with one another. But importantly, in this picture, you will see that ICT literacy is represented as one of the foundational literacies that we need to learn about. So once upon a time, we just used to talk about literacy and numeracy as being the fundamental basics of all education. But these days, now we're living so much within a digital environment, and we're all dependent on our digital tools. We wouldn't like it if we weren't able to have access to our smartphones, because we've all become very dependent upon them very, very quickly. But the important thing here is that ICT literacy has become integral to the way that we communicate every day. So learning how to make use of this in an education context is fundamental if we're trying to become good educators with ICT in the 21st century. If we think about the T in the ICT, and we think about the future, the sorts of things that we're needing to be thinking about. If I just go back to my timeline, here you won't see so many specific technologies listed as such, but just other events that have taken place. But if we're thinking just about the T, then these are the sorts of technologies that are becoming important, more and more important in terms of their impact, their growing impact, likely impact on education of the future. Things like robots and drones and technologies like blockchain, virtual reality and augmented reality, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence. All these many technologies are coming, and it can seem to be very overwhelming. How can I keep up with all these things? It's so difficult, so challenging. The truth is, not everybody can keep up with all these things, but we need to be aware of all these trends, of the futures that are coming, because all these futures are going to have an impact on the way that we think about interacting with technology, as more and more artificial intelligence becomes used in our classrooms. We will have to be very careful about managing our privacy and things like that. So there are many things to think about as a consequence of all these technologies being developed. There's also an interesting range of discussions that you might come across as well that are important to think about, particularly in community education, where there's some discussion about this idea of Industry 4.0. And here's a depiction of the evolution of if you like, of the various sequences of how industry has evolved from 1.0 through to 4.0. There's a lot of discussion about this topic and the impact on the workplace, how this is changing the workplace. And of course, we all need to be digitally literate in the workplace of today and the workplace of tomorrow. So often as educators, we're not just educating for today, but we're trying to educate for tomorrow as well. So I'm putting this here because I do think that having a sense of trends and of emerging futures is very, very important to consider when you're thinking about ICT and the kinds of skills that you need to develop to remain literate with digital technology as it evolves. So some places around the world, for example, this is an example from Malaysia about how the Industrial Revolution, Industry 4.0, is impacting the Malaysian situation. What it means for things like the industries like computer coding and the STEM subjects, digital skills, all these different things. This is one kind of impact. You'll see this term here too, disruptive technologies. This is often used when we're talking about the evolution of ICT. Many people often talk about disruptive technology because sometimes a new invention, a new innovation can change so many ways in which we do things. And of course the internet itself, the smartphone, SMS, WhatsApp, social media, all these things can be very empowering on the one hand, but on the other hand they can be very disruptive to the way that society maintains its harmony. So then some people are asking then, well, if we're talking about Industry 4.0, what about Education 4.0? And these are the kinds of words that are sometimes associated with this idea of Education 4.0, which is emerging now. It's all about education anywhere, anytime. It's about emergency remote teaching, emergency remote learning, anywhere, anytime, personal, flexible, with your peers and mentors. Student ownership. It's evaluated, not examined. So there's a trend, perhaps away from the intensity of the examination-driven system of education towards a much more an approach that's much more focused on evaluation. I'm not sure what the situation in Indonesia is at the moment. I know you have a very strong examination system in place, but I suspect over time it might accommodate more of this approach towards evaluation. Let's see about that. Maybe not. Mungkin. Okay. So then here's another quote that I often like to use because this person here, Alvin Toffler, many years ago wrote a famous book called Future Shock. And that is when he wrote this book, I think it was way back in the 1960s, he was forecasting that human beings would reach a stage where there was so much change happening that we would also experience some kind of shock about how fast change was happening. Perhaps we're in that stage now with COVID, a big major disruption, a big shock to the system. But what he is saying here about literacy and about being illiterate, he's saying the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those people who cannot read and write, but those people who cannot learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So there's this idea coming out now about 21st century learning that's been triggered by all the revolution in digital technology, that we need to learn and relearn again and again with the tools at our disposal. Okay, so I also have just a few words about the Australian adult and community education sector. This must be very similar to the situation in Indonesia, but there's a little bit of a history here about community education in Australia. We have about 2,500 organisations across this country. We have community learning centres, universities of the third age. That's very much for people in the community education area who wish to engage in some kind of university education as seniors, as more and more there's people wanting to do that. So I'm sure you've got different kinds of examples of community education in Indonesia and possibly some different needs in terms of ICT, but I suspect there are common ideas about what's important in terms of the basic skills that we all need. And obviously, well, in this country, for example, language literacy and numeracy are fundamental to those foundation skills in community education. But more and more, we now see digital literacy and this new acronym, LLND, language literacy, numeracy, and digital literacy skills is becoming important. All these things are coming together as the foundation for all kinds of learning. Other ideas that are out there that we can find, if we're looking at global initiatives, there's a group here based in the US, except they have many international partners, called New Pedagogies for Deep Learning. You can see the URL down here, npdl.global. Instead of thinking about just 4 C's, this initiative is presenting a view now that we need to be thinking about 6 C's, that this idea of character and citizenship, global citizenship, are just as important, probably more important in the kind of world that we're moving into at the moment. So other ideas, if we're thinking about community education and how we might proceed as teachers, we also need to be thinking about how we're teaching. And there's these 2 interesting terms that you might like to explore, the differences between pedagogy. We often use pedagogy, even though we're talking about adults, we still talk about pedagogy as important, but sometimes there's this word andragogy is also used because it's much more associated with adult learning. And adults are much more self-directed in their learning. Adults like to draw on experience. Adults like their learning to be practical and related to life and work. So there's a difference in the kind of emphasis that you might put into your learning programs where your students are already adults as opposed to students being younger children. And then lastly, I just like to present this idea to you about this notion of the transformation of learning as a consequence of digital technologies, or ICT. Sometimes we use ICT these days and digital technologies in the same ways. So we can see here that there's been this transformation because of digital first. The educators being directed by an educator. Now the modern digital learner is a bit more tuned into dealing with student-centered teaching and working with peers. And these ideas of all down the right-hand side here, we can see the difference between perhaps an older world on the left, the way we think about education, and a newer kind of a world that's emerging. So these are just some a range of ideas that I wanted to put in front of you to create some context and to provoke you to be thinking about some other topics that might be important to you in how you're thinking about how you will work with ICT in your education programs as you become educators. So I think that's my last slide. And so at this stage, I would enjoy the opportunity to answer any questions that you might have. So I will stop the slides. Okay. So I hope that some of you got some value. I hope all of you got some value from those slides, but maybe I have provoke some question from someone.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Your name, Najla?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Najla Kizasriski.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry for the bad English.
It's good.
I'm still learning. I have a question. First, thank you for your presentation. It's so interesting and very educated for us. My question is, to mastering all the skills is so hard and difficult, as like you said before in the presentation. My question is, how do we survive as a student in this era? Because to mastering all of the skills is hard, and to
Boleh campur bahasa Indonesia,
gimana mem? Mem. I think the simple question is, how do we survive in this era?
Okay, so then let me try, Najla, to answer your question. Of course, I understand it is overwhelming, but at the same time, I also think your generation is a little bit spoiled. You have so many options. In some ways, many things are easier. So I think on the one hand, wow, is so many choices to make. But you know, your choices. Oh, will I use WhatsApp, or will I use Line? Will I use WeChat? Will I use Twitter? What social media will I use? Because you have so many choices. You know, so I would also say that if I was to try to learn how to ride a bike, I cannot learn that skill of riding a bike if I'm also trying to dig in my garden. I cannot dig in my garden and ride a bike at the same time. I have to focus on one skill at a time. So I think concentration, actually C for concentration, must be really important. I think maybe there's another C in our education system which we forget sometimes, that we do need to concentrate on our skills development. So I think one step at a time, one skill at a time, we can learn very valuable skills. And always, I think there is a tension. There is this tension between technology on the one hand is empowering, and it gives you many opportunities to do things with new efficiencies and in new ways and exciting ways. And on the other hand, sometimes, it's frustrating because I forgot my password, the system's down, the Wi-Fi is not working, some problem. You know, we have this balancing between the good story of technology and the bad story of technology. So part of the bad story of technology is, how can I learn all these skills? But the good side is actually if we just go carefully, one step at a time, we learn some skills. We learn, initially we learn how to cut and paste. We learn how to swipe left and swipe right. Simple skills, very powerful skills, and more skills are coming all the time. We learn how to work in certain applications, like we learn how to work with Zoom. We learn how to work with PowerPoint. We learn how to use special apps like Edmodo in the classroom. Always there is some kind of new skill, but I think something that's really important that will help you is to have the mindset to be open and to explore what you can do with that. So I hope Najla, that can answer your question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your question.
There's a question in the chat, Pak John.
Oh, in the chat?
Yes.
Let me have a look. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just see. Whoa, long question. Okay, from Taspia City. Yeah. Let me see here. So from earlier, what was conveyed by there is a graph about the development of ICT, where in 2021 the ICT is increasing. As we also know, the negative effect of this increase is the spread of misinformation, I think. Yeah. So there are lots of hoax news everywhere. Yes. It happens due to low level of public literacy, especially. Yeah. It means that the increase in literacy is inversely proportional to the level of. Yes. What can we do as public educators? Okay, so there are many things. I think, thank you for your question. I think there are very, very many things here in your question. When I was talking before in the slides about the 21st century skills, I was talking about the 4 C's, and one of those C's highlights the importance of critical thinking. So there's a skill there that's important. It's not the same as ICT literacy, but it's a 21st century skill or 21st century competency that's becoming more and more important. It's having a critical attitude to whether the information we're reading is fact-based, whether it's evidence-based, whether it has a scientific basis, or whether it's just somebody's opinion in social media, you know. And so we need to be talking to our students about these kinds of things. We need to be educating them so that they are learning about information that can be false, information that can be unscientific, information that is just an opinion from somebody. So I think learning how to teach these kinds of skills are very, very important. And connected with this is the importance of, if we're talking about ICT literacy in 2020, 2021, not only is there misinformation and hoax news and fake news and all these things, but there is a lot of cyber crime and people trying to trick you into clicking on links and risking that you will get a virus on your computer, or maybe even get your identity stolen. So there are many issues concerning cyber safety. Cyber safety is absolutely fundamental to ICT skills in the 21st century now, 2021 for sure. And so, yes, I can see there is information from your government would provide directions about how to avoid hoax news, that sort of thing. But I think with that, we need to be vigilant about how we're engaging in the digital environment, and more the people trying to trick us into doing stuff on the internet, those people are becoming far more sophisticated in the way that they do that. So I think that's another area that educators need to put attention to. So this idea of being cyber safety, I think is absolutely essential, an essential part of the digital technology literacy skills that we need to have, both as students and as educators. I hope that answers your question from the chat. So who else is brave and wants to try some bahasa Inggris?
Ayo, siapa lagi yang lain?
May I?
Okay, please.
May I?
Alfia, Ibu Alfia?
Yeah.
Chat address Rama Ananda.
Alfia.
Alfia?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alfia Chitra. You can call me Alfia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting to hear your explanation, sir. And I'm very glad to for your attendance and give us new learnings about ICT, especially from its history and about education in 4.0 era, until how digital transformation gives us effects, how society learns. And I'm still curious about some one or two things. First of all,
Yes.
What's your opinion about future digital trends? As we know, the development of digital or the technology are so fast, and should we follow that kind or every kind of the transformation or the development? As you have said before that if we don't use it or face it wisely, we can get something like overwhelming, fear of missing out, like FOMO, and many things that actually disturb our well-beings.
Yes.
So what's your opinion about the future trends and how we can be adaptive, but at the same time to be a mindful and wise person? And the next one is, I'm very interested with Alvin's quote you explained to us before. I'm still curious about what is and how to unlearn and relearn something, because and nowadays we always hear to how to learn something, but this is maybe my first time to hear about unlearn and relearn something. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your two questions, Alfia. And I understand very clearly what you're saying. Very, very good questions. Both questions, and both questions are interlinked in many ways. And so let me just start with the second question first. To learn and to unlearn and to relearn. So, sometimes when we're in any kind of situation, whether it's in class or at home or reading the newspaper or reading something, all of a sudden we can have some idea that we have been making some kind of assumption about something, and perhaps a wrong assumption about something. So we might think that we understand something about some subject. It might be mathematics or something, and then all of a sudden we realize that our assumptions are incorrect, and so we have to unlearn in a way some of the things that we have thought that we knew were correct. And so that's kind of an unlearning, if you like. But we need to sort of these days, I think we need to develop a mindset whereby even as educators, we don't know everything. We cannot know everything, and so yes, we might have a lot of experience, more experience than our students, but in our willingness to learn something new, I think we also need to be willing to unlearn something as well. If it becomes the case that we had some fixed assumption about the way that the world is. So that's just one. That's just a few comments about that second question. Let me go to the first question now, and you're asking about the emerging trends, the future trends. Well, in some of my teaching, we actually focus some of our units just on futures thinking. And futures thinking is a very interesting topic in itself, because nobody knows what the future is going to be. But what we do find is we find in a lot of the literature, a lot of websites, a lot of commentators are always telling us, oh, we know what the trends are. The trends are artificial intelligence is coming, Internet of Things, robots and drones and virtual reality. All these technologies are emerging trends. But the question becomes, what kind of future? What kind of future? Now some people in a lot of literature will talk about this new world of smart technology, artificial intelligence, everything becoming smart. Not just a smartphone, but a smart car without someone driving. It's so smart, it doesn't need a human being. I don't know about that. It just sounds a bit scary to me, but these kinds of things are coming. These capabilities are emerging. And so I think to take a wise approach to the future is we need to think about the future as something that comes from this idea of not just a trend but a tension. There's always a tension, a balancing act between different possibilities. We might have a wonderful future could emerge in the next few years, or we might have a very difficult future emerge. And so if we are to learn a big lesson from the pandemic, one of those big lessons would be to ask this question: what happens if the next pandemic is a digital pandemic? And so that what I'm saying there is, what happens if the next pandemic is not biological, or is not COVID, but we have maybe some big cyber warfare, some cyber crime, all the technology goes down. We are disconnected. What do we do then as human beings? How do we organise ourselves? How do we organise what's important? So when I think about the future, I sometimes like to think about the positive futures. I want a positive future, but I sometimes think it's possible that the darker future is there, and to be responsible and wise, we need to think that these things are possible. So Althea, you've turned off your video, so I can't see your face. Where are you? Okay, we're back. So I don't know whether that answers your question, or if you have a follow-up question from what I say.
Sudah jelas, Althea?
I think it's enough. It's give me new insights and more explanation about it.
Okay, already clear. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
another question in chat.
Another question in the chat. Let me just see. Okay, from Andre. Andre, flying a flag of the of the male educator. Yes. Okay. How are you? Rama Ananda. Okay, that's a good strong name too. In the face of digital transformational learning, according to what things we need to understand in order to adapt? Well, adapting is okay. So if I had another slide, I could show you an interesting graphic on Andre about technology innovation coming up like an exponential curve, going very quickly, and then human adaptability just going along on a slower curve. And there's a very interesting book I was looking at recently that shows that there's a gap between the technology. The pace of technology is going so fast, it's faster than the ability for human beings to adapt, and it's creating a bit of a problem. And so what we need to do in response, one thing we need to do in response is to, first of all, recognize the problem, recognize that we are in the world we're living in is one in which things are changing so rapidly that we need to understand that's normal. That's the pace of change being so quick. That's normal. And so once we recognize and understand that, then we can perhaps think about some smart ways to learn from that. But I don't have any particular lessons apart from trying to develop a mindset to be open. I think it's interesting. This idea of openness in the internet is very, very interesting because from a technical perspective, the internet has become what it has become because it is so open. It is an open communications system, and in many ways, the open story is a positive story because we now have UNESCO being a big champion of all the free open educational resources that we can use. You might want to look up OER, Open Educational Resources, and UNESCO to find some very useful resources about adapting. So I think in many respects, we have access to knowledge that can help us through this period. We just have to learn how to be smarter, to make good decisions to make wise decisions and we can't make wise decisions unless we are informed, unless we're using some scientific evidence to inform our decisions and to inform our thinking. So there's no real shortcut path to knowing what to do, but I do think we need to make good use of science and scientific evidence and open systems and open educational resources can guide us somehow. So thank you for that question, Andre. I hope that, is that okay for you? Yeah. And then Mr. Yusuf, yeah? Microphone not working so well. Okay, no problem. Tidak apa-apa. Yeah? Maybe Bahasa Sunda says something different to tidak apa-apa.
Kenanaon.
Lagi?
Kenanaon.
Genanaon.
Benanaon.
Benanaon. Okay, so I try to learn that one. To what extent will artificial intelligence and Internet of Things progress and develop and whether this will ever again turn the next industrial revolution. Well, I'm sure we will have Industry Revolution 5 and 6. You know, when I was a young boy, there was a song, a very big hit. It was called "In the Year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive." And it went on, and then it was "In the year 3535, 45, 45, 55, 55, and on it went. So thinking about the big, scary future, there is always a big, scary future coming. But already there's a scary future with Industry 4 and artificial intelligence, because this is a time where a big question is, will the technology control us, or will we still be in control of the technology? It's a big question. A few years ago, there was I've forgotten which university in the US, but a very interesting thing happened. They did some research about who were the best tutors in the computer science class. Okay, and there was a range of different tutors over the semester, and they had some males and some females, and they had a big class, and I think there were 4 or 5 different tutors. And one of the tutors, her name was Jill Watson. And so at the end of the semester, the university wanted to find out which tutor did the students like the best. And actually, they all liked Jill Watson. But the interesting thing was, Jill Watson was a robot. And nobody knew that at first, but Jill Watson was more responsive and understood the questions that the students had. It was a very sophisticated first example of artificial intelligence being used in a sophisticated, positive way. Okay, so yes, I think AI can be used in very, very good, positive ways and positive contexts. But I also think that AI has the potential to be used in not very good ways. And there is many debates out there at the moment in the public about how some of the big technology companies use algorithms. And it's a kind of AI. Algorithms are just like a part of AI, if you like. And so, for example, some banks might use an algorithm to give Pa Ipung. He might get a loan, but Park Andre, maybe he won't get a loan because the algorithm says that Pa Ipung, he's a little bit more reliable with paying back the money, and Pa Andre maybe not. But I'm just giving a bad example. But sometimes the algorithm can be very unfair, because in fact maybe Pa Ipung might be a less reliable than Pa Andre. We don't know this, but if we rely just on the machine and the algorithm without checking up on how reliable it is, then maybe as human beings we're making a big mistake. So I hope that answers your question, Pak Yusuf.
Very interesting. Pak John, actually, I want to share you something that because student in our department is the competency. Is it my voice is clear?
Sorry?
Can you hear my voice? Can you hear
yes,
my?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Based on the student question to you, most of the student actually they are very interesting because when they graduate, they will become community educator. So they have to know more about how is community condition and how they can facilitate more, especially and the condition for technology that it's very hard in Indonesia. Like I have experience. Last month, I trained a teacher. They are from remote area. It's hard for them to make a video or just maybe learning material for students in school from home. So when we train them how to make a video and others, they are very happy. Even for us, it's very simple. But for them in the remote area, it's very hard for them to make information about information technology. So we have quite a different condition for and for the student in here, because we are not from, have a background in technology. We have to make sure the condition of community that they are ready to accept what kind of information, and they have to filtrate all of the condition information, something like that. So for student in here, quite what kind of or what skill that they become more important for them to become to facilitate community and others, something like that. Can you share with us?
Okay, so that's a very interesting observation, Buyanti, and comment. Um, so I'm also interested. Before I talked about the two tension, if we could also talk about the tension of the global idea of competency and the local wisdom.
Yes.
And so in the remote area, in many ways, the local wisdom is more important than the global. But in the big city, the global seems so important.
Yes.
So but I think for the people in the remote villages, maybe they still have the smartphones and things like I know most people can take a movie. Most people can make a movie, from their smartphone, and most people can maybe upload the movie onto some kind of social media. There is always more than one way to do something. The exciting thing I find about digital technology is we can always discover some kind of new way to do it. There is not just one way, one best way to do it, and so sometimes the big city way is not necessarily the best way, or the high production video, the video that looks so clean and very professional, is not always the best video. Sometimes the video from the village can be much better because it has the real world.
Oke, gitu. Jadi sebetulnya intinya kan bahwa kalau kemarin belajar sama Pak Joni dan Pak Purnomo, kita belajar banyak tentang bagaimana membuat materi-materi yang bagus dan ini. Tapi tadi yang disampaikan oleh Pak Jon, intinya ya sebetulnya yang penting adalah kita membuat suatu materi yang mana bisa dipahami dan bisa dimengerti oleh masyarakat sebagai suatu media pembelajaran, ya nggak gitu seperti itu. So the most important thing that we make a learning material that people or community understand they can make it as information for them. It's not talking about the modern thing but the important thing is something that they can understand, isn't it?
That's correct, because it's about communication, and you have to connect it with the real world, and if there is some real world concern in the village about the crops or something in the village is important, then it's important to make use of that situation in making a video. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak John. Okay, please, yang lain ada pertanyaan? Another question?
May I, Miss?
Yes.
Yes.
Nanti, Mr. John, maybe I have question and maybe it is discussion.
Pak Ipong, yeah.
Please tell about the technology in Indonesia. Maybe this is something technology in Indonesia that affect the development of technology include the availability of infrastructure in Indonesia. In Indonesia itself, the history of information technology development is still ongoing.
Yes.
Development of ICT in Indonesia, I think, cannot be equal with the development technology in other countries such as Japan, US, United States, Singapore. So, because it have a difference in infrastructure, region maybe, and Miss Yanti tell about the competency or skill, how skill, and I think one point is this infrastructure. So maybe Mr. John have opinion. What first time? Infrastructure or skill or infrastructure first time infrastructure or skill between infrastructure or skill maybe
So
the first time.
So I'm not sure I understand exactly your question, but I have opinion that I think Indonesia has a very good Minister of Education because my understanding is your Minister of Education. He's maybe still a little bit young in ideas. He also was a businessman. He make a Gojek, so he understands the social media, and I'm thinking, why don't Australia have a Minister of Education like that one? You know, I think that would be good because I think that this is a good opportunity for Indonesia also because. To me, it sends a very strong signal that in Indonesia and innovation in Indonesian education is moving. So what comes first, the skill or the infrastructure? I think the mindset, the mindset comes first because. It's the attitude. You know, when we talk about learning, we learn knowledge, we learn skills, attitudes, and values. But the attitude, you know, the mindset, how we can be open and how we go to the future with maybe a positive and open mind to find an answer. I think that's important. So I think in some ways. You are very lucky with your Minister of Education now, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then.
Well, there's Pak Joni. I see Pak Joni coming.
Mr. Joni coming. Welcome, Joni.
Maybe, mungkin.
Pak Joni is in middle in a two meeting. He also.
Oh, okay, no problem. One, yeah.
Okay. Do you still have time for another question, Pak John?
Yes.
Student, ada yang mau bertanya lagi?
Yes, may I?
Yes.
Aldira.
Hi, Mr. John. My name is Aldira. Yeah. And in the first, my question is similar with what Nisyanti asked before, but I have another question. This is a simple question. It is not good as the other people question. I just want to ask, based on your opinion, if in the future, someday the COVID-19 is all done, and we have to choose to the education system, the online class and offline class. That in the online class we have a good impact, many good impact, like we can learn in anywhere or anytime. Then
Yes.
we can learn it by personal, not in the group. We can do it, and then we can search anything in the internet like that. But in the offline class system, we have the good impact too. On your based on your opinion, what is better, the online class or yeah?
Well,
What is effective system?
It's a good question. Good question, Alvira.
Thank you.
So if the question is, would I prefer to be talking to you like this, or would I like to be in Bandung at UPI, and maybe in the coffee shop in UPI actually, talking about such things? My preference would be face to face in the coffee shop or in UPI in Bandung. I would like that experience because we all like to have the human contact. I think is good for us. We all need that one. But you do ask an important question, because for maybe 20 years we already have the ability to do online teaching and online learning. But because of COVID, everybody must do it. Okay, so we have to learn. Everybody is learning this, and all of a sudden, many people think, oh, actually, there's many good things about online learning, and we can do some good things. Of course, there's some bad things too with COVID. Many of us are isolated. We're stuck at home. Sometimes we don't have the good bandwidth. We don't have good Wi-Fi. Some technical problem. It's not perfect. All this kind of thing. So again, I think I will answer in the same kind of way. We have this tension between online and offline, but our new challenge because of COVID is we need to rethink about the best balance here, because we can learn how to do some things online very well, and we should. When we're studying as individuals by ourselves, or working in teams where we can do something efficiently online, maybe we should just do that. But then we should also find opportunities for a rich face-to-face offline kind of experience, and so it's a balancing act. And when we use words like transformation happens over time. It doesn't just happen like that. You know, the world is not perfect. We're still, many people still are exploring how to use a Zoom technology like this. How can we get better at doing this one? You know, maybe you guys might have some discussion, and we'll work out some way that, oh, actually, if we do it another way, we can make it better. So there's always opportunity to improve, and we can improve things offline. We can improve things online. So I would never answer the question that online is always better or offline is always better. Tidak selalu. Selalu, yeah, tidak selalu, something like that. But anyway, I think we cannot say emphatic always. It cannot be always better or that way. I hope that answers your question, Aldira.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. John.
Yeah, thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, kita sudah banyak. We already know Pak John and Pak John already answered the question. We have still 3 minutes left before the end of the class. Pak John, maybe you want to know more about the student in here.
Yeah.
And one thing that before we end the class, maybe if you want to ask student for assignment, so they will have to read more or prepare something for the next week, you can ask a student to give your assignment and then they will try to do it. And before,
okay, that's a good suggestion.
okay, and Pak John, if you want to ask us, our student here about maybe you want to ask something about their condition and others, because this part is our first meet, so
yeah, of course. Too much blah blah. We need to have conversation. I would like to learn so much about everybody. And does everybody come from Bandung or some people come from village near Bandung?
Dari Bandung semua atau yang silahkan?
Come from near Bandung village.
Near Bandung, in a village, yeah? And how big is your village, Aldira?
Yeah.
How many people live in your village?
It's not the village. It is a city, but it's near the Bandung, not in Bandung.
Oh, okay.
Ada berapa orang kan? Banyak nggak di sana, Dira? Di-on-kan saja semuanya.
And does anybody live near the volcano?
No.
No.
My place can call city, not village.
Okay, so I can see Ibu Putri wants to ask a question. No?
Putri.
No? This one? Okay. Looking? No?
Sorry.
It's okay, no problem. I thought you want to ask a question. You were looking.
Okay. Pak John, actually most of the students that stay in Bandung. Ada berapa orang yang tinggal di luar Bandung? Dari mana saja?
Ada dari Aceh sama Bangka Belitung.
Oh, there's from Aceh and Bangka Belitung.
From Aceh?
Yeah.
Oh. So I have a friend. My friend is doing a PhD. Christine, Ibu Christine, but she did some work with, I think, your colleague Ellie, Professor Ellie.
Prof. Ellie, yes.
Yeah, she was doing some work with Professor Ellie, and she then did some work in Aceh. Yeah.
Bangka Belitung, who come from Bangka Belitung? Siapa yang dari Bangka Belitung?
Saya, Bu.
Siapa?
Dia Amanda.
Ya, oke, dia dari Bangka Belitung ya.
Iya, Bu.
Ya, Bu.
Dia is from Bangka Belitung.
And what about Pak Yusuf?
Oh, Yusuf dari mana katanya?
Oh, no microphone.
No microphone, Yusuf. It's not.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So next time I come to Bandung, I would like to spend some time to meet with people and to learn more about your life. And so I have a question. Why do you want to become a teacher? Does anybody have an answer for that one?
Ayo, silakan acungkan
May
tangan.
I? May I?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is not a teacher. It is about community education.
Yeah.
Why I'm learning community education now in UPI, because I love the society. I love communication with the other people like that, and I like to talk a lot. Maybe just like that.
So it's connection with the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good reason. Thank you.
Yes, Pak John, because of the competency of the student when they finish the study, they be able to manage community learning service. So it's part of the competency of the student. But they also have capability to teach for the community, but not in the subject matter, special subject matter. They just facilitate learning activity in the community, something like that in our department. So learning information technology is become very important for them. They can try to help people to understand more and delivering learning material.
And so Ibu Yanti, in your course, does everybody learn how to build a website?
Yes, actually, it's very important to make a website ada for student. So ada berapa yang sudah punya sosial media yang khusus? Kalau if you are talking about website in our department, we already have, but individual website is depend on the condition and the lecturer. I do have my own blogs. But it's talking about community education as my point of view, something like that.
Yeah.
Other student ada yang sudah punya blognya sendiri? No, Tasbia?
What about somebody talking? Tasbia, Ibu Tasbia.
Pak John, when in Indonesia, if you call Ibu, because they're still female students.
What should I say? What should I say? Mbak.
You can call her Neng.
Mbak.
Bisa mau dipanggil apa kalau gadis apa dipanggilnya ya?
What do I say? What do I say to the young? What do I say to the young lady?
Okay, to the young lady, you can call her by name. Or you in Sundanese, you can you can call it Teteh.
Tata.
Teteh, not Teteh. Teteh is have different meaning. Teteh is different meaning.
Sorry.
Okay. I chat. I using chat. Okay, but you can call her by name. You can call her by that. Like
Tasbia is enough.
Yes, it's cukup.
Tidak Ibu.
Tidak Ibu. Ibu is only for me because I am a mother, so it's Ibu.
Okay, so maybe you teach me special bahasa Sunda later. Okay.
Okay. Tasbia katanya mau tanya.
Microphone.
Katanya cerita sesuatu, Tasbia. Siapa yang mau menceritakan sesuatu?
Tidak pertanyaan.
Malu-malu. Oke, ada yang mau ceritakan sama Pak John tentang ya bagaimana belajar di Penma?
May I?
Please.
Yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Please. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am and sir. I want to answer about the question why I choose community education in why I chose community education. First of all, I believe that to increase someone's life, society's life, it starts from education.
Yeah.
Maybe I I wouldn't be a teacher, but as a society educators, I believe that with my educational background, I have the possibility and the capabilities.
Sinyalnya off ya, Alvia.
When I start to learn how people learn, I can mengintervensi intervention ya. Saya bisa mengintervensi someone's life gitu to become a better, especially when it goes to a society, a community, not just personal but how
is a benefit.
Contohnya misalnya I have a specific consideration about how to empower women, especially like single mom or marginalized women because of the structure, the patriarchy structure, and the woman doesn't have kesempatan chance and chance to have a higher education as men, especially or to be a public worker, etc. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Wow, what a wonderful motivation. Yeah. So Alfia, I say go girl. Okay, you keep going with that idea, with that big motivation, because I think a new and better world is coming because more women are taking charge. I think that is a good motivation.
Ada lagi yang mau sharing kenapa milih masuk ke Penmas? Apa yang terutama berkaitan dengan belajar ini IT-nya, ada suatu kesenangannya? Anak laki-laki nih belum bicara, please. Mel, student? Ada yang mau bicara? Malu-malu semua. Reza, ada Yusuf, ada Ferdiansah, Revian, Septian.
Laki paling sedikit loh.
Andre, no.
Andres mau bicara kenapa milih?
Dwi, Nida, Adwa, Anti, Tasya, Septian, Revian, no, Shinta, Riza, Riza Aditya.
Okay. Pak John, if you have maybe assignment that student have to.
Okay, so I have an assignment to think about because I have a big interest in inquiry, and I also think that in the time that we are living in, we all need to ask more questions, and not just as educators, but I think it's important that students learn how to ask questions and how to ask more questions. And it's important for students to have their own question, not the teacher's question. So a small assignment, I think, would be for everyone to think about a topic that they really like, one topic, and then to think, what are some of your questions about that topic? Yeah, so that maybe next time we can have a conversation about that, because one thing about ICT is empowering in many ways to become a self-directed learner. And so many of the skills as we search, as we learn how to become better at using search engines and better at asking questions of other people, we need and better at learning about what is real factual information and what is fake news and what is misinformation. We need to be developing questions, and so that is just a small task to think about a topic you are interested in, and then maybe some questions that relate to that topic, your questions. And then maybe next time we can have a discussion about your topic and your questions.
So they write an essay for it, and they will write it and send it to Google Classroom, maybe. So
yeah.
John,
we do not need the answers, just the questions.
Just a question, okay.
Yeah.
Jadi kata Pak John, pilih satu topik, terus kembangkan pertanyaan ke pertanyaan yang kalian ingin ketahui dari tersebut. Apa sih, kenapa sih kalian pengen tertarik pada topik tersebut, kayak gitu. Silakan nanti sama Pak Purnomo mungkin secara teknisnya ya, Pak Purnomo.
Okay. Maybe this is very short example. The exam so simple. Maybe every student can write the question, and next minute you can, and the question can give to Mr. John.
Yeah.
So I have the Google Classroom. I have Google Classroom and prepare the Google Classroom for this online class. The code Google Classroom is okay. I will give to chat room code of Google Classroom.
Nanti dituliskan ya. Jadi si topik tersebut, terus kemudian nanti pertanyaan-pertanyaan. Tapi pertanyaannya bukan hanya sama Pak John. The question is asking Pak John just the question that you are what you want to develop from that topic, you're interesting, why you interested that topics. Jadi kembangkan pertanyaan dari topik tersebut seperti itu, dan nanti Pak John akan melihat apa yang kalian kembangkan di sana. Jadi seperti itu. Pak John, Pak Ipung already send the Google Classroom code in the chat. Join as an educator. Pak Ipung already invite you as a lecturer in the.
Okay.
Send it to email.
Okay. So can join in Google Classroom.
Alfia, I think is it the topic should related to ICT, Pak John?
You know, ideally, it would be a good idea if it is related to ICT, because that way we keep focused. But actually, this exercise is also good for anything, you know, because why I like to do that is because a student interest is really important. If we're going to learn something, we need to be interested in that. So if we have some topic, I'm interested in some topic. So I have a new topic I'm interested in now, actually, from today. I'm interested in Bahasa Sunda. That is my topic, so that I'm interested in. So I will find some questions about Bahasa Sunda, and so that is my topic, because I want to learn something about that.
Okay.
Just something simple. So when we pursue education and learning like that with an interest,
yes,
is more powerful than some topic that we must learn because, you know, you must learn this topic. You know, it's not the same. Because
we give a passion on it, isn't it? When we have a passion on something that we are willing to learn by ourselves, self-dedicated learning is become part of it. So nobody will ask you to do that. We have the inner motivation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
looking forward what of Bahasa Sunda that you willing to learn.
I should. There are many things I should learn, but I should. Yeah. Anyway, we talk later.
Okay, okay, okay. I think we already come to the end of the course, Pak John. So
Sudah cukup?
yeah, sudah cukup, and the student already. Thank you, Pak John, for your presentation. It's actually very interesting, and I already have a screenshot. But you will send us the material, learning material.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You can send it to Google Classroom, Pak John. So the student will receive it.
Okay.
Yes, so the student will receive in Google Classroom in learning material. Okay, I will give back to Pak Ipung as a lecturer in here. Silakan Pak Ipung.
Okay. Okay.
Mas, for Miss Yanti, and thanks for Mr. John for the material topic presentation. May it useful, especially for him and generally for all of us. And I think it is a very interesting material, and so the development of technology is begin with a simple technology. It's evolving gradually up to technology we are feeling right now. Okay? The challenge of the 20th century is ability to master technology.
Yeah.
As well as make technology a way to progress a country, but technology can be negative if not used wisely. And technology aims to make life easier for the better. I think that's the include the presentation, the last agenda, and as the closing agenda is closing, and prior to close program, let's rise Alhamdulillah together.
Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim.
Thanks for Mr. John.
Thank you, Pak John.
Okay.
It's great to hear you. See you next week.
Yeah, terima kasih banyak semuanya, and thank you for all the people asking me questions, and it's been very nice to meet you all. It's a nice feeling in this class. Okay, so I hope everybody remains sehat. Keep sehat. Okay.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak John, biar on off speaker ya. Terima kasih semuanya. Sampai jumpa.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Joni. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Ini kita masih